Good morning. Good Friday morning to you. All right. I think we're live. I think this is working. So live hi, good morning, on Instagram and YouTube. Welcome, everybody. If this is your first time joining me here, my name is Michael, and I'm here in New York City at Happy English, which maybe my sign looks backward to you. I'm not really sure. That's the technology. Anyway, it's been a while since I have done a live broadcast or a live chat. It has been a long time. And well, here we are. And I have one topic that I do want to talk about today, but if you guys have a topic that you would like to talk about, let me know. I'll be looking at two places. So yeah, and if you do want to, let's see, how can we do that? Put the chat here. Okay. All right. I think that's good. So yeah, so welcome. Again, my name is Michael from Happy English in New York City. And the topic that I wanted to talk about today is output. Output. I don't know if you guys on Instagram can see that. Hold on. There it is. Output. And we'll talk about that. Hang on one second. There we go. That works better. All right, great. I think the signal might take another minute to go out into the internet, but it looks like I think we're working. All right, great. Hey, Sunny. All right, so yes, the thing that I wanted to talk about is output. If you have a question today that you would like to talk about, feel free to type that in the chat box. So, you know, language has input and output. And input is reading and listening. And I think that for most people, getting input is easier than getting output. In other words, like, it's easy to read English. It's easy, you know, we have the internet here. You can read, you know, anything online. Reading is easy to access. And it's also easy to access listening because there's YouTube and there are podcasts and all sorts of other things that you can do to practice your listening. So I think for most people, you know, listening and reading is something that they do all the time, and that's what they spend most of their time with. If you think about your experience learning English in school, you probably did a lot of reading and listening in school. Maybe not a lot of listening, but certainly a lot of reading in English. And well, output is a little bit more difficult to get. And so Silver Weathon says, for me, input is easier. Sure, it's easier because you can do it more often and you can do it anywhere. You can read anywhere. You can read on a train. But getting the output is a little bit more challenging. And so, but if you don't have the output, you're not going to progress as fast and, you know, as far as you'd like to go. So that's what I wanted to give you some ideas and some tips today. Ari, hi. VJ, hi. That's what I want to give you some tips about today. So, all right. So, output. Output is speaking and writing. And since most people tell me that they don't like writing and they, ooh, I hate writing. Ooh, writing is so difficult. So I want to talk about that first. Okay, and we'll save speaking for last. So writing. I know that writing when you see that, you see your notebook, um, or you see, like you have a little card with, blank, something blank, blank paper, you think, oh my God, there's nothing I can do. I can't, no, I have no ideas. I don't know what to do. So um, I think the first thing that you can do is just um, write whatever comes to your mind. So if you're sitting there with a piece of paper and a pen, or you're sitting there with your computer or your phone, just start writing. And really simply, you can start off by writing the date. Today is Friday. It's August 31st. Wow, I wrote my first sentence. And then you have two sentences. And then you might think, this is boring. I have nothing else to do. I have nothing else to write. Well, how about this? How about write that? You could write, I don't know what to write. I don't have any topics. That's fine. So now you've written 4 sentences, and that's perfect. And that's a great way to start, because the first time that you try to write something creatively in English, you might not have any ideas, and that's okay. And so maybe when you were in junior high school, your teacher, or you were in high school, your teacher said, "Hey, you should write a diary." And then now that you're an adult, you think, "I'm not going to write a diary. I'm not 10 years old." Well, you could write a diary if you wanted. Um, or if you don't want to write about yourself, why don't you write about something else? For example, if you have a favorite TV program and you watch that program, once a week or every day online, then why don't you write a summary of that episode? So you could say something like, today I watched Big Bang Theory, and Sheldon, blah, 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 whatever that is. So that's one thing that you can do in your writing that's not writing a diary. What else can you do? How about a grocery list? If you go grocery shopping, they say that when you go grocery shopping, the best thing to do is to always have a list of what you're going to buy, because people who go to the grocery store with a list spend less money than people who go to the grocery store without a list. So a lot of people have a list to make sure that they don't just buy something. Oh, look at that, I'll buy that, and they really don't need it. So how about write your grocery list in English and then take that to the grocery store? And then that brings us to the topic of speaking. So now you've got your list, your grocery list, and you go to the grocery store, and let's say, I don't know, the first thing on your list is bananas. So you walk over to the aisle where the bananas are, and you speak in a very quiet voice so that the people around you don't think you're crazy, and you say, these bananas don't look ripe enough. Or, these bananas are cheaper today than they were last week. Or, these bananas look so delicious. So what have you done? You've just practiced different kinds of sentences using your voice, and that's output. So the supermarket is a great place to get output, because you can do a lot of creative things with your language. So you go to the meat department, and then you look at the chicken, and you could say, wow, chicken wings are cheaper than chicken legs. Or these chicken legs look very fresh. Or these chicken wings seem very fresh. something like that. So you can have a dialogue or a conversation with yourself using your voice, of course, quietly. So the people around you in the supermarket don't think you're talking to yourself. Who cares anyway? But that's a great way to get output. And you can do that. In other words, let your inside voice come into your mouth in English anytime you can. When you're in your house, you can, you wake up in the morning and you say, I'm going to make some coffee. I'm going to make coffee. So you go to the coffee machine and I'm pouring in the beans. Now I'm pouring in the water. I will turn on the coffee maker and soon I'm going to drink some coffee. That's good coffee. So what you're doing is you're thinking in English. Some people call that image training. In the 1970s, there was a series of books called The Inner Game, The Inner Game of Tennis. So one of the very famous, world famous tennis stars said that before he begins his tennis game or a tournament, he plays the game in his imagination. So he imagines serving. He imagines, what's the word in tennis? Returning the ball. I'm not a tennis player. So it's the inner game. So it's your inside voice coming to your mouth. And that's great practice because you need to have English coming out of your mouth more than you do now. So if you study a lot, if you read a lot and you listen a lot and you write a lot in your vocabulary notebook or something, the speaking is the toughest part, especially if you live in a country where there aren't many other native English speakers or other English speakers. It doesn't have to be a native. But if you have nobody around you to speak English, you've got to speak English to you. And that's okay that you do that. Here on Instagram, Maria just said, my problem is that I always take a long time to speak and I feel frustrated. So yeah, it might take a long time to speak and your fluency level might not be where you want it to be. It's because you don't have enough practice getting the words out, and you have to get the words out. You have to speak, and you have to have English come out of your mouth, even if you're the only person talking. And some people say, oh, well, I don't want to talk to myself. That's kind of weird. It's not weird. It's called practice. And so, and practice is what's important, and practice is going to help you improve your English fluency. So every day, try to do something in English using your voice. That's my advice. So give me a second to say hello. Iman, this is your first time. Welcome on YouTube. The topic today is output in using English. That's the topic today. And so speaking, you have to speak. And if you don't have any, as I said before, excuse me, in case you just joined, as I said before, if you don't have somebody around you to speak English with, then you have to speak to yourself. And it's okay to do that. Your family members might think it's strange that you walk into the kitchen and you look around for the food and you say, wow, the bread looks good today. I think I'll make a sandwich. That's okay to do that in English. You have to get used to having English come out of your mouth. And if you're not used to having English come out of your mouth, then when you do have a chance to speak English, you're going to feel, what do I do? What do I do? And you don't want that. You want to feel confident to speak English. And it's okay to practice when you're home and it's just you. So that's my advice for you. I talk to myself when nobody's around, but not out loud. Do you think it's important to say English out loud? Yes, Sunny, that's a great question. I think you have to use your voice. Some people are not comfortable listening to their own voice. Have you done that? Maybe you take a selfie video and you go, "Oh, good morning everyone," and then you play that and you go, "Oh, my voice sounds, oh, I don't like the sound of my voice." That's natural. So, hey, Alchin, that's natural, but um, it's really, really important to do that because a lot of people say to me, "Okay, Michael, I'm not comfortable when I speak English." Um, why are you not comfortable? Well, you're not comfortable because you don't speak English too often. Maybe the only time you speak English is when there's another person around you to speak with. Maybe that happens once a year if you go traveling. Maybe it doesn't happen a lot. So, um, just because there's no one to speak to, it doesn't mean you can't practice speaking. Using your voice, you can do a lot of things to help your own fluency. For example, you walking down the street and you see a shop and you look at the window of the shop and it's a shoe shop. And you can speak to yourself. You can say, "Wow, I like those shoes. Those are really nice shoes. Oh, those shoes are too expensive." Or, "I don't have enough time to go shopping. I don't have enough money to buy those shoes." So I'm practicing these grammatical points. You could practice comparisons. You could say, so I'm at the shoe store window outside, and I could say, "Wow, the brown shoes are nicer than the black shoes, but the black shoes look more sturdy than the brown shoes." So you're practicing comparisons using your mouth. I'll bet you've never done that. You could also practice conditional sentences. You could say, "If I had enough money, I would buy the brown shoes." Or, "If I were a millionaire, I would buy all of these shoes." So you're speaking and you're practicing grammar and possibly practicing vocabulary, like the word enough. Um, you go to the bakery and you look in the window of the bakery and you say, "Wow, I think they have enough kinds of bread here." Or, "I'm not hungry enough to eat all of this bread." Or, um, I don't know, "I've eaten enough bread this week." So what I'm recommending is you practice something that you've learned or that you've studied or that you want to remember by using your mouth. And you can do that in a low voice and speak to yourself without you know without having another person to talk to, because that's the best. I think that's the best way to practice, is to let the sound of English, let English uh, come out of your mouth. All right. So the output is really, really important. And that's what that's the point for today's English chat. All right, so let's take one quick break. Glacio Oliveira said, "Say hello for me." Hello for you. Hello to you. Eman, great question on YouTube right now. Great comment. Eman says, "The problem is that we keep translating ideas from our mother tongue. How can we stop that?" All right. How can you stop translating? That is a great, great question. So, um, one way, and I'll give you one tip today. One way is to practice speaking and get some phrases that you've memorized. It's kind of like, so my second language is Japanese. I started studying Japanese a long time ago. And the first thing that I did to study Japanese, I didn't go to a school and I didn't, buy a Japanese textbook. But what I did is I bought a tourist guide. And in the back of the tourist guide, the travel guide to Japan, it had, you know, travel or tourist English, tourist Japanese. For example, um, excuse me, where is the bathroom? Or excuse me, where is the train station? Or how much are these shoes? Something like that. So what I did was I took some of those sentences and I tried to memorize the sentences. I tried to memorize those phrases. So, for example, and it's a very, Iman, this is a very simple example, but here's how you can not translate or stop translating. Um, where is the post office? Where is the post office? So, you take that one sentence and you substitute as many other nouns that you can. So, um, you're walking in the street and you say, where is the post office? Where is the bank? Here is the bank. There is the post office. There is the post office. Oh, there's the bank. And just by practicing that sentence in English and memorizing that sentence and having it come out of your mouth, then I think when you want to use that sentence, then you're not going to translate because you've spoken it so many times in English that um, that it comes out naturally. And where is the post office? I know that's a very simple. It's a very very simple example, but here's a more complex example. Um, if okay, we'll go back to conditionals. So uh, if I worked in the shoe store, I could meet many different people. Okay, so maybe you need to translate that conditional sentence, right? So, but if you practice that and you speak that enough, it'll come out very naturally. So, how do you practice? Let's take the second conditional. So, you're walking down the street, you see the shoe store. Wow, if I had extra money, I would buy those brown shoes. And then you keep walking, and there's a pizza shop. If I were hungry, I would eat some pizza. And then you keep walking, and then you see the post office, and you say something like, if I were living 100 years ago, I would use the post office every day. And so what you're doing is you're practicing and you're speaking that same grammar pattern over and over again until it becomes part of you, and then there's no translation. So um, you know, or what if you see a cute dog and then you say, "Wow, if I were a dog, I could have a happy life." And then or if I were a tiger, I would live in the zoo. If I lived in the zoo, many people would come to visit me. So you're just taking one sentence, focus on that one sentence, and just keep repeating and repeating and repeating. Then it comes natural. Oh, like that. Then it comes natural, and then you're not going to be translating again. So Iman, thank you. Iman, thank you very much for that question. That's a great question. All right, so let's recap. Okay, um, uh, output is writing and speaking, and I just spent a lot of time talking about speaking. going back to writing, try to write something every day. You don't have to write a diary. You don't have to write, you could, but you don't have, today I woke up at 6 o'clock and then I ate breakfast and then I got dressed and then I watched Michael's YouTube live chat. You can do that. Some people don't like to do that. They don't. I don't want to write about myself. That's okay. You don't have to write about yourself. Again, you can write about anything. You can write about a TV program that you watched. Yesterday I watched Friends, and Rachel was having an argument with Joey. That's okay. Um, uh, it doesn't matter what you write. Um, if you go to Google, and if you search for TOEFL writing topics for the TOEFL exam, ETS um, has this. So go to Google and type in, sorry for the scribbling, ETS TOEFL Writing Topics PDF. ETS is the company that makes the TOEFL exam, okay? And they've published this book, not a book, but it's a booklet. It's a PDF document, and ETS TOEFL Writing Topics. And there's probably, I don't know, 300 writing topics for TOEFL essays. And if you've never tried the TOEFL, here's an example of a writing topic. Some people like to live in a big city. Other people like to live in the countryside. Which do you prefer? And then you have to write the essay. And even if you're not taking TOEFL, it's a great place to get ideas that you could write about every day. So you pick one of those topics and you start writing, and you go, okay, well, I like living in a city because, and here's 2 or 3 reasons. And then you write that. So you can write a diary, you can write about some movie you watched, you could write a review, right? When you before you see a movie, you probably check the review in some newspaper or some website, and they say, oh, the new Star Wars was really awesome. It was really great, blah, 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 blah. So you do that. You become the reviewer. You review the movie and you write that every day. Or the third idea is you can, you can write about, write one of those TOEFL topics. You don't have to write a formal essay, but just use the topic and the essay document in order to hang on one second. Yeah, in order to practice your writing. Okay, so those are my tips for speaking, for output practice, for speaking and for writing. And then the last thing that I didn't talk about is reading with your voice. Reading with your voice. So you get a book, for example, The Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and you open it up and you read. Well, it's finally October and there are only 30 days left until Halloween. Halloween is my favorite holiday, even though Mom says I'm getting too old to go trick-or-treating anymore. Reading with your voice is a great way to practice fluency. Yep, it's a great way to get output. Because the first time it might go like this. Well, it's finally October. Not so smooth. But if you keep practicing and keep reading out loud, then you're going to be able to do it a lot more smoothly. And that's the goal. That's the goal for fluency. All right. Um, so that, I think that, my friends, that's about all the time we have for today's live chat. So a couple of people asked me a question. The order of adjectives. The basic idea of the order of adjectives is it goes opinion, fact, and then the noun. So it's a beautiful little flower. Beautiful is my opinion, little is a fact, and flower is the noun. Or it's a wonderful black coffee. All right. So wonderful is my opinion. Black isn't the adjective, it's a fact. And coffee is the noun. So that's that. Yukiko, hi. All right. So many people here. Thank you for chatting. If I didn't say hello, sorry. A lot of people did that and wrote. It went too fast. All right. So just to let you know, I'm going to be doing a live YouTube chat every Friday in September at this exact time. 9 o'clock in the morning, New York, 3 p.m. in Europe, and 10 p.m. in Asia, every Friday in September. And I hope to see you guys there. Thank you so much for joining me today on YouTube and on Instagram. I really appreciate that. And you guys have a super weekend. Enjoy, and see you guys next time. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Share, save, and share. Okay, that goes there. How do I do this? All right. YouTube, thank you so much. See you next Friday. Have a great day. Bye, guys.